At 13, my parents called me a burden and abandoned me at a highway rest stop. I survived the night alone and never looked back, but last week, my sister's wedding invitation came with a message from the people who left me to die. I'm not really sure what the right subreddit for this is, but I guess I just want outside opinions from people who don't know me and don't have any weird loyalty to family. Because last week, for the first time in 12 years, I heard from the people who left me behind like trash, and they're acting like I should be grateful they're even acknowledging I exist. Here's some background context. When I was 13, we were driving back from some miserable weekend trip, the kind where my parents fought the whole time. My sister ignored me, and my little brother slept through everything. I don't even remember what triggered it. Just that 1 second I was in the car, and the next they pulled into a rest stop and told me to get out. I thought it was a bathroom stop. Instead, my dad told me I was making life unbearable and sucking the energy out of everyone. He said I was always difficult, always complaining, always ruining things, and they couldn't take it anymore. Then he told me to get out and cool off. I listened because I thought it was just another one of his temper moments. I didn't think they'd actually leave. I was standing outside the car with the door still open when he told me to shut it, and then the door slammed and they drove away. I remember seeing my sister looking at me through the back window. She didn't say anything. She didn't open the door. She just stared. After a few minutes, I told myself they'd loop back around. I waited on the curb for an hour, then 2. Then it got dark. A trucker finally noticed me sitting there crying and called someone. Police came, then CPS. They tried to reach my parents. My parents told them I stormed out of the car and refused to get back in. They acted like they were the victims and said I had anger issues and behavioral problems and ran away. CPS believed them. They didn't come get me. They didn't even pretend to try. They just let me go into the system and moved on with their lives like nothing happened. From that point, every family form, every school contact sheet, every emergency contact, every holiday, it was just blank space where parents should have been. Eventually, I just stopped expecting anything from them at all. I did foster care, bounced around, stayed with some good people, some horrible ones, aged out at 18, worked 2 jobs, got my own place, and built a life that didn't include them. Not once in all those years did anyone from my family try to find me, check on me, or even confirm I was still alive. Then last week, I got a wedding invitation in the mail from my older sister. She's 25 now. I haven't seen or spoken to her since she was 15 and sat silently in the back seat while our parents abandoned me. The invitation was normal until I saw the handwritten note tucked inside. It said something like, "Everyone is ready to forgive, but only if you don't bring up the past. Dad says you can come as long as you behave." That was the moment I realized they didn't invite me because they missed me or regretted anything. They needed a full family picture. They need the illusion of a normal, loving family for her wedding. I'm not a person to them. I'm a missing puzzle piece they want to shove into place for appearances. That note wasn't an apology. It wasn't even an "I miss you" or "I'm sorry for what happened." It was basically, "We'll allow you back if you stay quiet and don't embarrass us." So now I'm stuck between a few options. Ignore it completely. No response, no explanation, stay gone like they wanted. Send the invitation back with a note saying exactly what happened and why I'm not coming. Show up and ruin the image they're trying so hard to protect. Not by screaming, not by causing a scene, but by telling the truth to the groom, to his family, to anyone who asks why they haven't seen me in so long. Contact my sister privately and ask why she even bothered, but I already know the answer. Update 1. After I posted about the wedding invitation and that note from my parents, a lot of people asked what I was going to do. Eventually, I decided I had to reach out to my sister. Not to make peace, not to say hi or "I forgive you," but just to figure out why now. Why after all this time? Why a wedding? Why the fake apology that wasn't really an apology? I sent her a message. I kept it short, something like, "Why are you inviting me? After 12 years, what changed?" And the reply I got, well, it made me sick in a way I didn't expect. She basically told me that legally I was still part of the family, that everyone needed me there so it wouldn't look bad, and that my parents were worried about appearances. That's it. Nothing about them missing me, nothing about feeling guilty, nothing about a single night I spent alone in the dark hoping someone would come back for me. Just appearances. That's what they cared about. Not the fact that they drove away and left me, not the fact that my life had been shaped by that night, just appearances. That's when I realized something even worse. My parents have apparently been telling everyone who would listen that I was some kind of troubled runaway, a rebellious kid who left home, cut them off, and broke their hearts. They made themselves the victims in the story I actually lived through. And the worst part? My sister wasn't correcting them. She just repeated it to me, saying it's how it's always been explained. According to her, I wasn't abandoned at the rest stop. I threw a tantrum and refused to get back in the car. That's her story. My story doesn't exist. It got worse as we kept talking. She said she doesn't want drama, that I need to let it go. It's been years, like somehow I owe them peace for leaving me to figure out how to survive the night on my own. She told me my dad might let me back in if I apologized first. She actually said that, like the only way I can come back into the family is if I grovel and say sorry for something that wasn't my fault. I couldn't believe what I was reading. 12 years of no contact, no care, no word, and now I'm supposed to apologize for surviving. And then I asked about the wedding. I asked if the people getting married even knew the truth. She laughed at that too. She said the groom's family thinks I'm some black sheep who disappeared, a problem child who caused nothing but grief. They don't know what actually happened, and she clearly wanted it to stay that way. That's when I felt the weight of how far their story had spread. It wasn't just my parents and sister protecting a perfect family image anymore. This lie was out there, shaping what people thought of me. And here's the kicker. She added that I shouldn't bring up CPS. Dad supposedly said that if I mentioned CPS, he could have me removed. Not in some formal legal way, not like a threat I needed to worry about realistically, but just enough to remind me they still think they have power over me. Even after everything, they want me to be scared. Even after 12 years of no contact, they want me to behave or face consequences that don't exist. The more I thought about it, the more furious I got. I was pissed because for 12 years they acted like I didn't exist, and now they think they can rewrite history and invite me back like nothing happened. They weren't trying to reconcile. They were trying to cover up their own mess. My sister's involvement made it worse. She knew some of this, maybe most of it, and she did nothing. Update 2. After what I learned from my sister in Update 1, I couldn't stop thinking about that night, the rest stop, and all the years after. It kept gnawing at me if they were willing to lie about me to everyone for appearances. What else had they lied about? I knew the only way to get some real answers was to dig a little deeper. I reached out to someone who had been involved in my case when I was 13, someone who had seen everything from the outside. I wasn't looking for closure or sympathy. I just wanted the truth. I got in touch with my old caseworker. She remembered me clearly, not just the details of the foster care placement, but the fear in my eyes when I was alone at the rest stop, the way my parents painted me as a runaway. At first she was hesitant, worried about sharing records, but once I explained I wasn't suing or blaming her, she opened up. And what she told me changed everything I thought I knew about that night. The abandonment wasn't some spontaneous act, it was planned. My parents had been under investigation by CPS for neglect, and some allegations around how they were handling my little brother and sister. I hadn't known any of this as a kid. According to the caseworker, they were trying to make themselves look better in the system. They picked me the problem child because getting rid of me made their household look cleaner on paper. They thought if I was gone, there would be no record of the issues with the other kids, no lingering complications, nothing to interfere with their lives. They wanted to erase me. It wasn't just neglect or anger that night. It was calculated. They'd left me knowing that the odds of me being found quickly were low. They had even made arrangements with someone at the rest stop to make sure I wouldn't be helped immediately. The caseworker wouldn't give details, but it was clear there was planning involved. I hadn't thrown a tantrum. I hadn't refused to get back in the car. I had survived a trap. And then came the part that made me angrier than I expected. My sister, the one inviting me to her wedding with that fake apology, had known. She was 15, old enough to understand what was happening. She stayed quiet, watched, and protected herself. She didn't stop it. She didn't even tell anyone what was really going on. She was complicit, even if she didn't put the plan in motion herself. She had chosen silence over doing anything that might put her at risk, and I get that in a way, I really do. But the betrayal cut deep all the same. She had been holding a part of my truth hostage for 12 years. It also explained why the wedding invitation felt like a trap. This wasn't a gesture of reconciliation. It wasn't about missing me or finally wanting to make things right. It was damage control. They wanted the perfect image sister in a perfect dress, parents looking like loving caregivers, everyone thinking we had no history of trauma. And the craziest part? After learning all of this, after understanding the planning and the sister's involvement, I realized I didn't hate them for being human. I hated them for trying to erase me. I hated them for thinking appearances mattered more than a child's life. I hated them for assuming I would just quietly accept it. And that's when I made my decision. I RSVP'd yes. I RSVP'd yes, because if they wanted me there, I would come, but I would come on my terms. Update 3. I decided to go. I spent the week before the wedding printing out everything I could. Old CPS reports, the police statements from the night I was abandoned, foster care records, any documentation that proved what actually happened. I didn't want to yell or make a scene just for the sake of drama. I wanted facts, hard proof, receipts that would leave no room for lies and expose them fully. I arrived early at the rehearsal dinner. It wasn't even a big dinner, just close family and some of the groom's family. But the moment I walked in, I could feel the tension. My parents were already there, smiling at people, looking like the perfect family, my sister glancing nervously from side to side. The first thing my dad did when he saw me was freeze. My mom's hand went to her mouth. My sister avoided eye contact completely. I didn't approach them immediately. I took a deep breath, set my things down, and let the room adjust to my presence. Then, slowly, I walked over. I pulled out a folder with all the documents, setting it on the table in front of them. CPS reports, statements, police reports, everything. The room went quiet. Everyone was staring. My parents started to protest, but I raised a hand. Stop. Listen. This is what actually happened the night you left me alone at that rest stop. This is what you told everyone after, the lies you spread, the story you built. You didn't leave me because I was hard to handle. You left me because it made your lives easier. You abandoned me on purpose. My sister started to shake, looking like she was about to run. I didn't let her. I knew she had known. I had confirmation from a neighbor and from her own actions that night. And yes, I said, looking at her. You knew. You were 15, you watched it happen, and you stayed silent. You've been lying too. My dad's face went red. My mom started to cry, trying to speak over me, but I didn't give them the chance. The room was silent except for me and my voice. You wanted a perfect image for this wedding. You didn't want me here to celebrate. You wanted me here to be quiet. That ends now. The whispers started immediately after. Guests began to murmur to one another, looking confused and shocked. People were leaning in to see the documents. The groom's parents were in disbelief. They hadn't been told anything about my past, nothing about the abandonment. My sister finally broke down. She started crying, admitting she had always known. She said she didn't stop it because she was scared, because she didn't want to be the next target. That made sense in a way, but it didn't change what she had done. She stayed silent for 12 years, letting them paint me as the black sheep. She admitted it to the room. I let her speak because it was her truth to tell. My parents tried to regain control. My dad got loud, telling me to leave, calling me disrespectful, trying to threaten me in front of everyone. But the groom's father stepped in. He said, "No. She has every right to be here. You left her alone as a child. You lied about her. She's not going anywhere." That stopped him. My mom tried to intervene, but she didn't argue. She just sobbed, and I realized she probably had no idea how this would end. I walked away from the table after speaking, holding my head high. I didn't need to yell. I didn't need to scream. I just said, loud enough for them to hear, "You left me alone at 13. I'm leaving you now." For good, I walked out, leaving the folder on the table. Guests picked it up, glanced at the documents, whispered. The room was chaos after I left. My sister stayed behind with my parents, crying, begging them to explain themselves. People were shocked. No one had been told about the night I was left alone. My parents were scrambling to maintain any control over the situation, but it was gone. The narrative they had spent years creating, that I had run away, that I was difficult, that I had caused stress, was shattered in front of everyone. After the dinner, my mom tried to contact me. Not to apologize, not to ask if I was okay, but to demand I remove the documents, to say I was embarrassing the family, to beg me to behave for the wedding. My phone went straight to voicemail. I didn't reply. I came home that night exhausted, but at peace in a way I hadn't felt in years. I hadn't forgiven them, and I wasn't going to. I didn't want to. I had made sure my truth was out there. Final update. It's been a week since the rehearsal dinner, and I'm finally able to process everything without my chest feeling like it's going to explode. The wedding itself went on, of course. My parents tried to act normal. My sister tried to smooth things over, but nothing was the same. I wasn't at the ceremony, I didn't need to be. I had already made my point, and the truth was out. That night at the rest stop, the abandonment, the lies my parents had spun for 12 years, my sister's silence, all of it was finally acknowledged by at least some of the people who mattered. After I left the rehearsal, the chaos didn't stop. The groom's family was furious at my parents for hiding the truth. They pulled some financial support, postponed a few things, and made it clear that if my parents wanted any help, they'd have to come clean first. I had never felt such vindication without even lifting a finger to fight. The facts had done it for me. Guests whispered, some confronted my parents privately, and I heard through the grapevine that some of my extended family were calling each other, realizing they had been lied to too. I wasn't expecting apologies from anyone, but I could feel the narrative cracking, which was enough. A couple of days later, my sister sent me a message. Not an apology, not even a thank you, just a text asking me to fix things before the wedding. I didn't reply. I didn't even read it fully at first. She wanted me to sit there and be the good sister in front of everyone so the family could look perfect. I ignored it. If she wanted to pretend nothing happened, that was her problem. I wasn't going to be her prop. Then came my dad's legal email. It was the kind of email you see in movies. Formal, full of threats about defamation and legal consequences if I spread false information. I laughed at it. I didn't respond. I knew it was empty. I had the documents, the CPS reports, the police statements, everything. If they tried anything, all the truth would come out again. But I had no intention of fighting them in court. I wasn't there to seek revenge or money. I just wanted them to stop erasing me, and that was already done. A few days later, an aunt on my mom's side reached out. She was someone I hadn't talked to in years because my parents had kept me away, warning her not to get involved. She sent a long message, apologizing, explaining that she always knew my parents had abandoned me and that she had tried to intervene but was shut out. She even included some old letters she had kept, showing concern for me back then. That's when it hit me fully. I had survived something that wasn't supposed to be survivable. They didn't just leave me to be upset, they wanted me gone. They wanted to erase me, and I had proven that I wasn't going anywhere. I spent a lot of time thinking about my sister too. I still care about her, and I know she didn't ask to be involved in their plan, but she knew and stayed silent. I realized I couldn't let that go quietly either. I'm not going to ghost her, but I'm not going to pretend she didn't make choices either. She has to deal with the fact that she chose silence for years. That doesn't make her a villain, but it does mean that our relationship will always carry the weight of that knowledge. As for my parents, I've accepted that they're never going to change. They wanted a version of me who stayed quiet, who would sit there and pretend nothing had happened so their lives could look pretty. That girl died at that rest stop. The woman I became, the one who showed up with receipts, who didn't cry or beg, who didn't grovel for their approval, will never sit at their table. Even if there's an empty seat with my name on it, I wouldn't take it. Not because I'm bitter, but because I know what they did, and I won't pretend it didn't happen. People have asked if I plan to go back to them or try to mend things. The answer is no. Not because I want revenge, not because I want to punish them, but because I've finally realized I don't owe them anything. They lost their chance at being parents when they left me alone at 13. They don't get a do-over because it suits them. I've built a life, a home, and relationships with people who actually care about me. That's enough. I'm finally at a place where I feel some peace. Not the kind that comes from forgiving, because I can't forgive what they did and I won't pretend to, but the peace that comes from knowing the truth, speaking it out loud, and refusing to let anyone rewrite history. So here's the final update. They wanted me silent. They wanted me absent. They wanted me to be a ghost so their family could look perfect. I didn't give them that. I showed up, I told the truth, I left on my terms, and I survived. That's enough. That's everything. That girl died at that rest stop. The woman I became will never sit at their table even if there's an empty seat with my name on it. And for the first time in my life, I'm completely okay with that.